Hi, I'm John Alexandrov. I'm back with Michael Friedman, who's the Director of Coaching Services for our company, the Real Estate Inner Circle. And we've been covering these 6 major fears that buyers and sellers have, that agents have, maybe in terms of moving from one office to another, that really any prospect in any business has, Michael. And the first 2 were the fear of making a wrong decision. The next, the fear of making any decision. Now we're going to talk about the fear of change. And I think this is one that we all have. But what I've found in my experiences in life and in coaching, running businesses, and being part of mastermind groups and my own personal development, that the fear of change is really one of the ones that every single one of us has, even if it's a change for the better. And this is an important point that I think all agents have to know, and recruiters have to know, because even if you're helping someone make a change for the better, say from one office to another, to more income, from less income, from whatever it may be, from losing weight to stop smoking, they're all changes for the better. However, we still have a fear of change.
You know, John, we do have this fear of change, and I think the key thing as a real estate professional, if we're looking at our clients today, some of those changes for them, like you said, even are going to help them. They're going to move them back to where they want to be, whether it's selling a home or moving into a home. And yet that change is really paralyzing to them, because they might actually have to take some action. They might actually have to do something to make that happen. And for those folks who, we'll just use expired listings as an example. Someone whose home might have been on the market 12 months, 18 months, 24 months, hearing another realtor come to them today to tell them, listen, here's what I can do to help you get your home sold. What if it actually does happen and they actually now have to finally move and be out of their home in 3 weeks, 6 weeks, 9 weeks, whatever the case might be, and be there?
This goes to a point you make all the time in our coaching. And I've seen you do this in front of audiences, and I've listened into one-on-one coaching calls that you're performing, calls that we're doing together, and that is really doing a better job of qualifying buyers and sellers and the real reasons and motivations as to why they're thinking about making a change or making a move. And I think a lot of people fail to do that.
Well, John, they fail to do it, and we talk about in our coaching how important the aspect of obviously lead generation and prospecting is. I would say that qualifying your clients up front, setting those standards and expectations of what you have for them and what they have for you, really creating what we call that mutual working agreement, is absolutely critical. And I believe, John, that if you do a great job of that, that change aspect that they're maybe fearful of, it really kind of goes away. It starts to negate it. It starts to slow it down, because again, as you qualify them, you might actually uncover they don't want to move because they've got some major issues about change, and we can work through that. Or we might even decide at the end of that conversation that this isn't a client we should be in business with. And that's okay too, by the way.
That's right. Now, Michael, we mentioned in an earlier video that you went 7 or 8 years consecutively of selling over 100 homes, and you recruited 100 agents to your office when you were in management in an 18-month time period. So you face this issue all the time, this fear of change. And what would you say would be the #1 way that you did help people with this fear of change? Is it the qualifying? Is it really finding out why an agent might want to move from one office to another, or why that buyer or seller really is thinking about making the move?
Well, I think qualifying is a component of it, John, and then another component of it is really understanding and asking great questions to your prospect, to your client, to the realtor who might be deciding to move, about what's important to them. And when you really have a true key understanding of what is important to the potential client, and then showing how you can bring value to that client and making that transition, whatever it might be, as smooth as possible, really almost acting like, John, I would call it as a filter, to filter out the stuff that they don't even need to be involved in, and you be that guiding force and that calming force like we talked about in the earlier segment. That's really critical.
So, Michael, we're about to change every agent's and every manager's life forever right now. And you and I have done a lot of research on this, and we know that the #1 objection that buyers and sellers have, or the thing that they feel the worst about in working with an agent, is that their house doesn't close on time. The transaction doesn't close on time. The second one is, now be ready for this, the second one is that they felt that the transaction was more about the agent than it was about them as a client.
Absolutely.
Okay, and that also may be true in terms of recruiting. It's all about me building my office, my market center, whatever it may be, and I want you in this office because it helps me as the recruiter. I'm not so concerned about you as the agent as the reason why you want to move here. I want you here because it helps me. And the same thing, I want to sell your house because it helps me as the agent. I want to find you a house as the buyer because it helps me as the agent. That's the perspective or the perception that many buyers have, many sellers have, and many agents have when they're being recruited to other offices. If you can just stop and think of what Michael just said, that it has to be about them. It has to be about the true reasons why the seller is going to make that move. It has to be the true reasons why the buyer is going to purchase that home. It has to be about the true reasons why that agent may be moving from one office to another. That will change your business forever if you can adapt that perspective. And of course, Michael, that's something else that we work on in our coaching too.
We do, John, and one of the great things about that is that we help you understand what the true definition of prospecting is. We share a very key, specific definition of what prospecting really is, and it will actually shift your mindset away from you, totally focused on the client. And when you start understanding that and applying that into your business every day, it's amazing what happens.
So folks, remember, fear of change is one of the predominant reasons why people aren't making decisions. And Michael, we're going to go on to the next one, which I think is just fascinating, and that is the fear of being taken advantage of. But right now, if you want some more information on the Real Estate Inner Circle, you can go to our website, and of course, you can always call our office at 508-438-1164.